or somebody that's like just credible enough to be a backup quarterback in this league because you have a sustaining quarterback that can't stay healthy. It's just it's blasphemous that Chris Greer still has a job with this team, and I think management really needs to look at the top with Chris Greer and the coaching of Mike McDaniel, because guess what? In this league, Mike McDaniel, if you didn't know, it's all about results. And as far as I can see, you're good at flipping to offensive coordinator. You're a good offensive coordinator. I don't necessarily know if you're a good head coach, because we're seeing it right now. Bad management, bad penalties, bad discipline. I can't stand it. It's like horrible to see.
All right. With that being said, I'm going to jump to the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, they've been a massive disappointment. I'm going to start off with the top. Obviously, Jerry Jones and his son, who has a large part in kind of their draft process. Outside of that, Mike McCarthy. For say what it is, I mean, he might go down as one of like the most overrated or one of the worst coaches to ever win a Super Bowl.
Yes.
And I don't think that's crazy. I was never really a Mike McCarthy guy. I saw for years, so we're going to get into this later, but I'm a big Aaron Rodgers fan. I watched the Packers a lot because of it during, the Rodgers era early on and later on. And the guy's just a poor decision maker, handles situations poorly. The play calling's always questionable. I feel like at least once or twice a game, you're sitting there scratching your head, did I just watch what did I just see that? This past week, early in the game on a 3rd and 6, they ran a fullback dive out of the shotgun with a guy who literally was I think a second carry of his career, or it might have been the first of the season. It was something like that. Did not need to tell you, by the way, Shark, that they did not pick up the first down.
No.
On that 3rd and 6. No, they did not.
No. You know what it reminds me of when I was watching that? Remember when Joe Judge was the coach for the Giants and
the back-to-back QB6? Yeah.
Back-to-back QB6? I was watching that, I'm like, is this really happening? Are they really doing this right now? It's just crazy to me. And before you continue, Mike McCarthy, I wish we could take his ring and give it to Mike Tomlin, because Mike Tomlin deserves that ring more than he does. And I know Mike Tomlin's got 1, but give him 2, and Mike Tomlin might go down as one of the best coaches of all time, because he has an unbelievable winning percentage. But nonetheless, Mike McCarthy, get rid of that ring, give us to Tomlin.
Yep, he's a boob. Poor free agency, and Cowboys fans might say, well, obviously they had to lock up a lot of their guys. CeeDee Lamb and then Dak Prescott getting the money they did. They did not address the run game. Obviously they lose Pollard. They think Rico Dowdle is going to be the guy. But they're not sure. The solution to it is re-signing an aging Zeke Elliott to run it back with Dak and all the good vibes and the good times they had. Obviously, you're seeing that Zeke is not exactly a starting caliber running back in this league anymore, and really hasn't been. It's a one-dimensional offense as a result of that. A lot of pressure is put on Dak, and obviously we know that he's had some turnover issues throughout his career, and making that a one-dimensional offense with the play caller like Mike McCarthy just doesn't really, it doesn't mesh well. And obviously they're having issues on defense as well. I mean, their secondary is getting beat up. You have, what is it? Not Stephon. Trayvon Diggs. Sorry, I was thinking Stephon Diggs, but Trayvon Diggs coming out yelling at reporters for actually saying accurate things on X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it these days. He was just, and I think the fact that Diggs was so upset about that and ran out of the locker room to address it shows you some validity into what maybe that reporter had to say.
Yeah.
But they can't tackle. Yeah. They're bottom 5 in yards allowed before and after contact on the ground. Tremendous issues on both sides of the ball. So that's why the Cowboys are a hot mess. But luckily they're paying, Dak $60 million a year, and they're paying CeeDee Lamb top of the market at wide receiver. And they, Michael Parsons is going to be coming up soon, and they need to address paying him potentially. And I don't know if they will or can. But yeah, they're a mess, and they probably need to hit the reset button, which I'm sure Jerry Jones is not looking forward to doing.
So here's what's surprising to me with the Cowboys, right? everybody talks about, their non-playoff success, but they've had really good regular seasons. So this is why it's a surprise to me this year that these issues are now being more emphasized, right? For example, the offensive line can't stay healthy. They're aging. Obviously Tyron Smith goes to the Jets. They obviously need to figure out replacements for that. Their running back issue, Tony Pollard goes to the Titans. They need to make an offer to Derrick Henry, worth it enough at least. They could have gone out and got a guy like Joe Mixon or DeAndre Swift as their back. But guess what? They don't want to invest too much in that position because they feel like their offensive line was going to help Zeke Elliott, and they want Zeke Elliott back. So here's my whole thing with the Cowboys. Guess what? Guess what, Drew? Guess what, Ticket? They're in the news. That's all they care about. Jerry Jones does not give a shit about them winning or losing right now because they're in the news. And once they're in the news, guess what that means? It's Jerry's world. And here's my honest opinion why that I feel like it's Jerry's world all the time. We talked about it in the past with Giffy and I, but to break down Mike McCarthy overall has lost his job in numerous years. Clock management, poor clock management, absolutely terrible clock management, timeouts used in the wrong ways, penalties, being undisciplined in the playoffs, like just false start after false start, offside after offside. And Mike McCarthy still is the coach of the Cowboys. How is that possible? I'll tell you how it's possible. It's because Jerry Jones is so stuck up when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys. He wants it to be his baby. He wants himself to be proclaimed as this big, huge, great owner, the best NFL owner in organization history. Here's the issue. If you bring in a guy like Bill Belichick, if you bring in a guy like, I don't know, Sean Payton, right? And those guys go on and make that team successful, well, guess what? It's not Jerry's world anymore. Jerry Jones didn't do this to the Dallas Cowboys. Guess who came in and fixed the Dallas Cowboys? Bill Belichick, Sean Payton, those guys, Jim Harbaugh, like John Harbaugh, whoever it may be, whoever the next head coach is going to be or may not be. Jerry Jones is scared because if he brings in a guy that is successful at the coaching position, well, guess what? Wow, Bill Belichick saved the Dallas Cowboys franchise from, being a bombshell of an organization. Like, it's crazy to me that he is so caught up in his self-proclaimed, like, mindset and selfishness and conceited. Like, he's so conceited that he can't go out and get straight talent that can be formidable for you to go on it and possibly win a Super Bowl. Like, yes, he wants Super Bowls. Do you know Jimmy Johnson retired for 30 years and he just got in the Ring of Honor? And do you know why he just got in the Ring of Honor? It's because he won a Super Bowl with the Dallas Cowboys. Now, why did it take 30 years for Jimmy Johnson to get declared indicted into the Ring of Honor? It's because Jerry Jones, it's his
personal
world.
Enemies. Yeah.
It's his world. That's all that guy cares about. So I'm tired of making excuses for the Cowboys. Guess what, Jerry? You want to put this shit out? You want to put poor defense on, that defensive line? You want to go out and get an offensive line that can't even stay still? You want to go out and get a running back that's aging? And you want to have a $60 million quarterback along with a wide receiving quarterback? You know why he wants those two guys? Because it's exciting. It's entertainment. You get a guy like Dak Prescott throwing the ball to CeeDee Lamb. You get jerseys. You get guys that are excited. Wow, CeeDee Lamb, number 1 wide receiver. Number 88, I'm going to rock him. Number 4, Dak Prescott, one of the best quarterbacks when an offensive line is in front of him. When he has a good running back. When they have a good defense. I'm tired of making excuses for this team because again, we're all in Jerry's world if we're talking about the Dallas Cowboys. And guess what? We're talking about him right now, and that's all he gives two shits about. That's all he cares about. So I'm just done, like, saying, oh, Dallas this, Dallas that. No, Dallas is what it is because Jerry Jones stinking likes that. Stephen Jones freaking likes that. So good luck being average. Good luck being either being average and missing the playoffs or being a really good team in the regular season. And then guess what? Falling short in the playoffs because you're too sticky on your own good to go out and get a coach like Bill Belichick or Sean Payton. Sean Payton's having success with Bo Nix in freaking Denver. You don't think he would be having success in Dallas? Give me a break. It's because you don't want Sean Payton to become the hero. You want to become the hero.
His ego gets in the way for sure. I mean, and the Jimmy Johnson and Bill Belichick are not the same in terms of like personality by any means, but they are very similar in the fact that they are like alpha males that will command respect and are command control. And like you said, Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones are not giving up control. They are not giving up the thought of having Bill Belichick be a general manager. In fact, if Bill Belichick probably went to them and said, hey, I'll take this job, but I need to be the GM, I'm sure Jerry Jones would be like, well, here are the Patriots drafts that you've had, and let me tell you why I'm better at drafting players than you are. And, Jerry actually might be right about that because Bill is such a disaster when it comes to that, especially lately. But the other thing that comes to mind was Mike McCarthy in his press conference being introduced by the Dallas Cowboys with Jerry and Stephen Jones, admitted that he lied during the job interview about like the offense that he watched and like how he learned so much in his a year or two away from the league. He admitted he lied about it, and they don't care because they know McCarthy's an idiot and will do whatever they say, and he's not going to get in their way of running the team how they want to run the team.
Yeah, and I heard some intel too. And just talk about this Dallas Cowboys real quick. After games, guess what they have to do after games? Win or lose, they go inside Jerry's club. You know why they go inside Jerry's club? It's because they like to spend money. They have family, they have friends, they have fans joining in on the club. Win or lose. Win or lose. I'm not saying win only. Win or lose. That's incredibly stupid. That just shows how you're in Jerry's world. Like, it's lunatic. It's a loony freaking world that he lives in. It's unbelievable. And as long as he's alive, guess what? The Dallas Cowboys are not winning a Super Bowl anytime soon. Moving on, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I kind of just laugh at this team because they have good talent, right? And like, Evan Ingram, and you got Trevor Lawrence, and Bigsby's coming alive now. Christian Kirk obviously fractured foot, but Brian Thomas, a real good wide receiver. They had good defenses in the past. I don't know why Doug Peterson's shying away from that now, but he's becoming really one-dimensional when it comes onto the field. And one-dimensional is not that good with the offense. He's actually pretty bad. So I just continue to look at that team, and I just think, what more does the Jaguars owner have to give to Doug Peterson in order to not fire him? I think he has to understand, especially Doug Peterson, has to understand that his leash is absolutely short, very short. And if you don't find a way to make things happen, guess what? Owner Khan is going to come in and say, get the hell out of my organization because you're not putting up. So Travis Etienne, okay back, right? Trevor Lawrence and him have a decent connection coming from Clemson. But Tank Bigsby is now showing that he can become that back. So I must believe that they have some kind of coherent or some kind of consciousness on the field to put Tank Bigsby as their number one running back and start pounding the ball and start making that offense more balanced, because Trevor Lawrence is dropping back to pass for at least 30 times a game, if not more, this season before Tank Bigsby has come alive. So I'd like to see more balance out of it. It's just they're playing bad teams, really bad teams. Look at their freaking division. The only team that's competent is Houston. And the only other team is Indianapolis with Joe Flacco. when Joe Flacco plays. Obviously, now getting the start with Anthony Richardson on the sidelines. But it's
which
just,
is a good move.
it's a great move.